And then I had a complete breakdown in my car, complete car breakdown, screaming, yelling, crying. How did this happen to me? How did I get here? What is going on? And it took that moment for me to realize that I had to change something and not just my job or my location, but like fundamentally change like my boundaries and my mindset and start saying no and start being more dedicated to my own self as opposed to my job and my roles.
Welcome to the Life Coaching for Mompreneurs podcast, where you will learn simple solutions to win at work without losing at home. Hi, my name is Martine Williams, and I am your host and CEO, your Chief Encouragement Officer. And this podcast is your one-stop shop to creating a burnout-proof life and business by elevating your clarity, confidence, and courage. Friends, it's time to say goodbye to being the yes girl, to procrastinating on your goals and living in overwhelm. And it's time to say hello to creating healthy boundaries, healthy mindsets, and healthy habits so that you can achieve work-life harmony. Your next breakthrough starts here. This is the Life Coaching for Mompreneurs podcast. Let's do this. Hey friends, today's Turquoise Talk guest is Dr. Nikia Smith, who is a board-certified anesthesiologist, wellness coach, and retreat facilitator. She's also the founder of She Is Fire Forged, a transformative wellness brand that helps high-achieving women of color reclaim their peace, power, and purpose. She has decades of experience in high-stress world of medicine, and she brings a deeply informed lens to conversations around burnout, boundaries, and emotional restoration. And we talk about all of those things here on this episode. You're going to love our conversation and how real she is, how honest she is. And so let's get right to it. Welcome back, friends. I'm so excited about our Turquoise Talk guest today, Nikia Smith. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm so excited to have this conversation.
Thanks for having me. I'm really happy to be here.
So just tell us, I don't really know, that much about you. So tell us just about you, your family, and kind of how you got into the work that you're doing today.
Yeah, so I'm Nikia. I'm a physician by training. I'm an anesthesiologist for 10 years. And through the course of the training and the working, I burnt out not once, but twice. And so I've just decided to share my story as far as possible to help other women understand what it might feel or look like to be burnt out and how not necessarily to avoid it, because I think that given what we all experience, it's not completely unavoidable, but there are ways to reverse it before it gets to that severe crash and burn level of burnout.
Yeah.
We can all admit that we're tired, we're exhausted. A weekend, even a week won't help, but there are things that we can do. And so on that journey of recovering from burnout and sharing my story, I just started hosting retreats and coaching women because I do believe that we are just powerful and we're amazing and we're going to change the world, but we can't do it if we keep sacrificing ourselves in the process, right? We have to take care of ourselves so that we can do these amazing things that we were meant to do.
Yeah. I think it's just always interesting to me how we've just accepted that being exhausted and tired is just how we are. Like,
Yeah.
where did we get to that place where we just accept that, yeah, I'm tired and I'm exhausted? Like, that doesn't have to be that way.
It doesn't. We've accepted it as our baseline because we get so much reassurance around that, right?
Yeah.
You get,
Yeah.
oh, like you're so busy, being booked and busy, hustling is so praised. And
Yeah.
we get so much positive affirmation for all the extra work that we do. You get
Yeah.
promotions, you get raises. And so it just becomes part of our normal. And then when you look around, everybody else is tired too. So it's just like, well, that's just how it is. We're all just collectively tired. So I'm just trying to be that person that's like, yeah, I was tired. I'm not going to say I'm never tired, but
Right.
now when I recognize it, I'm like, okay, I'm going to say no to this and just take this day to rest or recover or whatever, as opposed to pushing through. And so I do think it's just like the domino effect. Like once one person starts doing it, then more and more can start doing it. So I'm more than happy to be that voice to tell you, you don't have to come to this event or this brunch or whatever. If you just need to sleep in and rest and
Hmm.
recover, then do it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so true. Like that little two-lettered word, no, is just so incredibly hard to say, especially if you're used to being the yes girl
Yes.
and the Miss Dependable and wearing that busy as a badge of honor. Like actually saying those words can be kind of I mean, really hard. And if you're worried about the other person's response, how are they going to treat me? Are they going to treat me differently? And so we talk a lot about that word on this podcast because it does start with you. And I believe that the more conversations we have, like the one we're having today, the more permission women feel to say no. And the more that we do that, the more other women get the permission. Like once someone says no to something that they're used to her saying yes to everything, like, wait. Oh, I
Yeah.
can say no too, maybe. I can maybe turn that down too and not feel like I'm being a mean girl. Like it's wild, but that is the ripple effect of having these conversations.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So you said you've experienced burnout. So I always like to kind of ask what that felt like for you because I know it shows up in different forms for different women. So tell me what it felt like for you. What was going on at that time and what did it feel like for you?
Yes. And so burnout, I like to say we don't burn out overnight, right? You don't just have one busy weekend and burn out.
Right.
And so for me, it took me actually like maybe 2 to 3 years to realize that I was in burnout that whole time. It's a
Hmm.
slow build. And I like to call it the simmer, like a big pot of water is boiling. You know, it takes a
Yeah.
while for it to get boiling, but once it starts boiling, it goes quickly. And
Yeah.
so I was simmering for a while and I was just feeling more exhausted. And although I would try to sleep more and go to bed earlier, I still woke up exhausted, just completely drained. And, because part of it is not just physical rest, it's emotional and psychological stressors that are taking you out. So even if you sleep more, you're not really going to recover fully.
Yeah.
Honestly, I was becoming more irritable,
Mm.
and I could find myself like ruminating about something very small, like losing my keys or forgetting something. And normally I'm like, "Oh, I can't believe you forgot that. How silly," and like kind of move
Mhm.
on. But I would ruminate about it and kind of just hold on to it for a reason I couldn't explain. Like, why am I still thinking about this?
Right.
But it's just because I'm so drained that my brain is just like focused on something,
Mm.
and it just made me more irritable, a little bit more short-tempered, a little bit more like
On
feisty,
edge.
on
Yeah.
edge.
Yeah.
I would go through my days kind of like zoned out, right? I know a lot of us move through on autopilot. You can do a whole day and look up and not really remember it, but know you got everything done because you're just so used to getting it done and handling it. And so I was like zoning out more, autopiloting more robotic,
Mm.
not really enjoying things, just checking things off and trying to get them done because all I wanted to do was wake up and get the day over with. Like that's it. I'm like, please let this day get over with.
Yeah, which is so like when you think about like hearing yourself say that, it's like
Yeah.
that's such a reality of so many women at the same time. Like how is that really living? It's not living when
It's
you're
not
waking
living.
up just to finish the day so it can
Yeah,
be
we're like,
over.
get
Like
through it, and we just push through. We get through
yeah,
it, but it becomes like it's just a short term thing, and then it
yeah.
becomes like a longer thing, and then it becomes like a normal thing. And
Mhm.
so I'm just trying to explain these daily things that you might experience, but if you're noticing that it's becoming more frequent, or you're
Yeah.
kind of not even like concerned about it anymore, and you've normalized it, it's time to like take notice. And so it took like a few years of that, and I knew something was wrong, right? Like maybe I should get a new job, maybe I should move, maybe I all of these other changes I was trying to make to figure out what was going on. And then after I would say probably two solid years of like feeling that way, I had like my worst year where I
Mm.
just kind of was just constantly just feeling overwhelmed, overstimulated. I just could not like catch up, right? I couldn't
Right.
catch up on sleep. I couldn't catch up on tasks. I just couldn't catch up on anything. And then I had a complete breakdown in my car after working. It was a very long shift. I worked nearly 23 hours. And
Mm.
so I was just like fried, and I just complete car breakdown,
Yeah.
screaming,
Yeah.
yelling, crying. How did this happen to me? How did I get here? What is going on? And it took that moment for me to realize that I had to change something, and
Mm.
not just my job or my location, but like fundamentally change like my boundaries and my
Yeah.
mindset, and start saying no and start being more dedicated to my own self as opposed to my job and my roles. And it was bad because like I'm a doctor and I went to school for years, and I've
Mm.
been working for years, and I was like, I'm gonna quit this job and go work at Trader Joe's. Like I literally was like, I want to sell flowers and cheese and wine and just go home.
Yeah.
And when I go home, there's nothing to worry about. And
Yeah.
so that's when I finally clicked to me like, okay, this is a big problem.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I went into medicine for a reason. I sacrificed all those years for a reason, and I had to figure out why I'm at this point. And
Mhm.
so it took again, years to recover from the burnout, because you have to do a lot of work. It's not just sleeping and going away for a weekend. It's kind of like, why, how did I get here? Like, why did I want to be a doctor? Why is my work hours doing this? Why am I not prioritizing rest? Like a lot of why questions about yourself,
Mm-hmm.
because you can't build the boundaries until you know what you're protecting and why it's so important to you.
Yeah. Yeah. As you were describing your burnout, I was thinking of so many of my clients. I mean, even just a recent one who was literally on Zillow just looking to buy a new house, just to move out of the air. Like she was just at that point, right? And then I have another client who was like, I've been daydreaming of a hospital visit just to get a break. Like there's so many stories like that. And something you said that you didn't say the word, but like there was shame, a little bit
Mhm.
of shame. Like I'm a doctor. Like how did I get here? I
Yeah.
should know better. Or how did like there's so much shame that wraps once you are aware of the burnout, then there's all these other emotions that come flooding, like I should have known better, or why didn't I do this? And oh my gosh, here I'm here. And it just kind of adds salt to the wound. And so just to be able to be aware that this is just where I am. It's not who you are, it's just where you are right now. And like you said, there's some fundamental things that need to have a shift, just like someone who wakes up and has a heart attack and they've been
Mhm.
eating poorly. Like they have to make some fundamental changes in how they see food and how they see exercise and all of those things. So it is a process, but you're worthy of that change.
Yeah, we're worthy of it. We're all worthy of it. And you're right. It is a component of shame, and sometimes it's hard to name it. But when I think back to like the first thing I did was read a book by Kristen Neff called Fierce Self-Compassion. It
Hmm.
makes sense that it's shame, right? I
Yeah.
was feeling ashamed or shamed and guilt, and then I have to realize I have to have fierce self-compassion for myself, the way that I have self-compassion for my clients, my patients, and everybody else. And so naming it, it's like, yeah, that is a counter. Like when you feel shame, you have to have compassion for yourself. And so
Yeah.
like, that was like one of my first steps was reading that book and kind of just doing some more, a lot of just learning about myself, podcasts. I know they call it, self-help, self-development, but you have to kind of come back to yourself because we do like when you're grinding and moving and having kids and getting promotions and starting companies, you lose yourself because you have so many roles and titles. And I
Yeah.
had to come back to like, who is Nikia? Like, who
Right.
is she?
Yeah.
And, you know, that takes time.
Hmm. Hey, friend, let's talk. It's time to book your clarity call. We are going to spend 1 full hour focused on you. A clarity call isn't about pressure. It's about possibilities. It's about you. You having a space to talk through what's on your heart and mind, you walking away with a clear vision and practical next steps, and you feeling confident in what's next and how to get there. You don't need to have it all figured out. That's my job. All you need to do is show up and we'll figure it out together. This is the best hour you can invest in yourself right now. Not in 6 months from now, not next month, right now. And don't just take my word for it. Here's what one of my coaching clients had to say after working together.
Working with Martine has been such a blessing to not only my business, but to my personal life as well. I went from lacking confidence to being able to stand tall and proud of my work and life.
That transformation, it starts with one conversation. It's time to stop spinning your wheels and start making real progress. So head right now to martinewilliams.com or in the show notes and grab your private clarity call spot on my calendar before they're gone. And since I personally monitor my inbox, if you don't see a time slot that fits your calendar, just send me an email at martinewilliams.com with 3 times that do work, and I will make it work for you. All right, friend, let's get back to the show. It does. And I often say that burnout is not necessarily from doing too much, it's doing too little of what lights you up, right? And if
Yeah.
you've lost yourself in pursuit of success or career or in motherhood or whatever, I mean, I remember looking in the mirror and being like, who is that girl? Like, I have no idea who she is, what she enjoys anymore, what she likes to do for fun. And it's a real kind of pivotal moment to have that awareness and not to go down to the shame cycle, but just be like, what do I want?
Yes.
What do I want? I have one life to live. What do I want? What brings me joy? What lights me up? What gives me energy? We know what drains the energy.
Mhm.
We know how to perform and hustle and do all of those things, but to slow down and really ask yourself some of those questions. It's just not what your body's used to either. I don't know if you found that. Like once you
Mhm.
are aware of the burnout, then your body's used to that pace. And when you're slowing it down, that too is uncomfortable. And then people think I'm doing it wrong.
It's
Like,
very
yeah,
uncomfortable because you have cortisol, you have adrenaline, you have
yeah,
these racing thoughts. And then even just sitting, you still feel like that guilt, right? I should be doing something. I shouldn't sit until this is done. But I'm
mhm,
always like, nothing is ever done, right? You cross off one task, you add three more. The list
yep,
is never done. Maybe you
yep.
do one task and then sit down, or two and then sit down, but you can never say, I'll rest when it's all done because we already
No,
know that's the biggest
yeah.
lie ever. It's never. It's always some new email, some new thing happening. And so it's like getting comfortable with rest, getting comfortable with that uncomfortable feeling that you should be producing or be productive somehow. That takes time. And now I'm like, ooh, this weekend, my goal is to do as little as possible. Like I
I
love that
know.
I have been able to shift from that. I'm like, I'm not leaving my house today. I'm doing as little as possible today, as opposed to like, I'm going to get all 20 of these tasks done in 50 minutes. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
tired of that mindset, you know? So that has taken a lot of time for me to cultivate that. But I like to share it and just live by example so that
mhm,
people know, like, yeah, she is doing it. And it's not going to be easy. And I'm tell them, it took me years to get here. But like, if you just see me resting, I want you to take that as permission to sit down as well.
yeah. And one tiny shift can change so much, right?
Mhm.
So it doesn't have to be a boil the ocean type of an event. It's like, what's the next thing?
Yeah.
What's the very first step you can take in preventing the burnout? So maybe you're not in one right now, but you want to prevent it.
Mhm.
You are in the throes of it. What's one step you can take in the direction that will help you kind of come out of it? I think as achievers,
Yeah.
right? And performers and doers, we just like want to do it all at the same time. And that also can be overwhelming. So like was that your first step was just kind of like be learning to be uncomfortable with this new pace or
Yeah, I would say like my first step was actually learning to be like again the self-compassion to myself,
yes.
right? Because I
Yeah.
was just so like shame, like you should be doing this or you could be doing that, or why would you rest if this isn't done? And everybody else seems to be handling it well. Are you the only one? It's
Yeah.
a lot of negative thoughts. We know the inner critic is very loud.
Yeah.
And so just sitting and listening to the thoughts, but then not being consumed and overwhelmed by them, that is probably like the first
Yeah.
step. Because if you just sit, even if you just sat down for 5 minutes, you're gonna have many thoughts, right? Like I should go to the
Mhm.
grocery store, I should make a grocery list, I should fold the laundry, I should reply to that email. Like, okay,
Mhm.
you're gonna have the thoughts, you can't stop them, but you can just be like, yeah, I'm having these thoughts, but for now, I'm just setting a timer for 5 minutes. And then after 5 minutes, then I'll think about what's the most important thing to do next.
Yeah.
And so, like you said, it's a very small step. It just started with 5 minutes. It started with saying no once
Mhm.
and then a second time. But it's not like
Yeah.
I'm always going to say no. That's
Right.
unreasonable. But I know we like to be high achievers. And so we're like, well, I'm just never going to do that again. And
Right.
so, no, it's not like that. It's just like, okay, if I tell myself that I value my family and I value my well-being, but I always say yes to overtime or extra shifts or to extra work or taking on this extra thing, am I actually honoring that value?
Mhm.
And sometimes you are, because sometimes it's like it's extra, but I'm going to pay for a family vacation and that's
Right.
for my family. And then
Yeah.
sometimes it's not. And so it's not an all or nothing situation. It's every situation deserves its own evaluation. And sometimes you want to say yes because you want to help this particular colleague or this particular client. And then sometimes you want to say no because you're drained or you just need time or whatever. And so I do like to say we are the masters of all or nothing as our in our high achievement.
Yes, we are.
So we got to learn to think a little bit more in the sometimes maybe gray zone.
Yeah.
And if you're not sure, I love like, I'll have to think about it. I'll get back to you. It's like my new favorite thing. Like, I'll get back to you or I'll check my schedule. Because I was always like, yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And and then, so that's how you become overwhelmed. And so I was
Yeah.
like, I'll get back to you. And then I think about it. And then sometimes it's yes and sometimes it's no. And sometimes you're even saying no to things that you really want to do, but you just don't
Mhm.
have the energy. So it's not always negative things, right? Like I
Yeah.
do go
Oh,
to brunch
yeah.
with a friend, but I just don't have the energy. And I hope that they understand that in this moment. And so it's a lot of learning along the way, which is why it takes so long, because it's
Yeah.
not all or nothing, black or white.
Yeah. Well, and most of us didn't get to the state of burnout overnight. So we can't expect ourselves to undo it overnight either, because there are like behaviors and habits and things that you've picked up or that you've developed over that time. And so you're learning new habits, habits of thought, habits of actions, how you're having conversations. Like that was the first step for me, was saying no too, was just to like, Martine, just you don't have to give everybody an answer right away. Like,
Yeah.
could you just do that? Could you just say, I'll get back to you?
Yep.
Right. So I could really think about it because I knew I didn't have the courage at that moment to say no. Now I have I'm more confident in that. But there's still times where I'm like, I really don't know. I want to do it, but I don't know if I have the capacity or if this is, if everything's a priority, then nothing really is. So you do have to learn to kind of prioritize. But as you were talking, I was thinking about, I just hosted a retreat for my private clients a couple weeks ago, and there was a local women's event, a really big women's event. They asked me to come and set up for my podcast. And I
Mhm.
said yes. And then, like, as it got closer, I started realizing, like, how am I going to be at two places at one time? And I'm like, but I can do it. I can do it. Like, the
Yeah.
old version of me was like, you can do this. You can do this, because the FOMO was so real. Right.
Yes.
And I had to just like, thankfully, I have, a coach and a peer group. And I just like, all right, help me think this through. And they were like, you could do it, but you're going to show up so frazzled at your
Yeah.
retreat and you're probably going to be exhausted. And like, yeah, like why? What's the reason? Why are you forcing yourself to do
Yep.
this? And so it's sometimes, like I said, that was a very good thing that could have been a really great thing for my business, but was it the right thing at that time? And the
Mhm.
answer was no. And I knew it was no, but like, there's that. Yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes that ego is like, yeah, but you can. And what are you going to miss out on if you don't?
Yeah.
So the FOMO can be real, but it's just learning to lead yourself, learning to trust your intuition, learning to trust your gut, learning to trust that little quiet, it might be very quiet voice that's saying, do you really want to do this
Mhm.
right now? And just trusting that. I think that's part of the process, is learning to trust yourself again.
Yes. And I always talk about that with my clients as well, because the self-trust is kind of tricky because
Yeah.
we're so high achieving. So in certain roles, we're like, yeah, this is the decision. I'm taking action and it's been great. You're excelling in your career.
Yep.
But somehow on this other side, you just doubt yourself. So it's just like
Oh, yeah.
you make great decisions. You've proven it in the fact that you blah, 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 and you're this, and this. But then somehow when it comes to this one thing, we keep waffling. Like, why is it that everywhere else you're so, yes, I know that this is right, and here you're not. And you may not have the answer, but it's the first part of like of thinking differently. Like, how come
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can trust myself to make these assertive decisions at work or whatever other role I'm in?
Hmm.
But when it comes to like these decisions about taking care of yourself, you're like, no, I'm tired. Like,
Yeah.
well, I don't know, maybe I should. Like, no, like at
Yeah.
work, you'd be like, no, it's not going to work out. We don't have the time or capacity for this or the money, right? We don't have
Yeah.
money, time, or capacity for this at work. But you don't have the energy or capacity or time for it either. But you're like, maybe I can. And we
I can
all do.
squeeze this in, right? Yeah,
Yes,
I can
we
squeeze this in.
always do it. So it's like, okay, like let's figure this out. Like let's figure out how come it's so different. And like I said, that's why it takes so much time because you're right. It's habits and it's like your hormones. You've been living off cortisol and adrenaline and caffeine, and you've been dehydrated and sleep
Yep.
deprived. And so your body has to like come back into itself as well, not just your
Yeah.
mind. It's an entire system. It's your mind and your body together. And so I always tell people, don't forget about the body part, the body
Yeah.
restoring itself. Because I know that I was chronically dehydrated. I went to a retreat and she asked us how many times a day do we pee? And I was like,
Such a simple question, but you're like,
like at work, like never. Like I don't drink water intentionally, so I don't have to
yeah,
stop and go to the bathroom.
right.
That's how I was treating my body because of my mindset, right? Like, oh, if
Yeah.
I slow down, I'll lose focus and I'll lose momentum.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of things that we just kind of have to think about, like, wow, this is how I've been hustling and neglecting myself and my body, just even just water.
Yeah. 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 And I think it starts with the shift in identity, right? When you truly see yourself as the asset.
Yes.
I am the asset for my family. I'm the asset for my business, for my career, for my friendships. And so
Mhm.
we have to protect that asset. And if you don't think you're an asset to anyone, then you're not going to protect it and you're just going to just treat it like garbage, to be frank, right? But if you realize like no, everything that I'm leading and taking care of requires me to be at the most healthy version. So I do think there's that identity shift that has to happen and then the actions naturally fall
It
in
does.
place, right? Like if you're identifying as someone who takes care of herself, you're probably not going to eat trash all the time, or you're going to fuel your body with the right nutrition. You're going to hydrate yourself. You're probably going to move your body a little bit more. You don't have to be a CrossFitter to, create a fitness. You can just move your body more. But if you're identifying as that person, then those actions kind of follow. But if you don't believe you're an asset to anyone, which I think a lot of women struggle with in
Yeah.
that area, the like, who am I to take care of myself? Or it's selfish to take care of myself. I actually think it's more selfish not to take care of yourself.
It
Because
is.
you are the asset to the mom. Like, how can you show up, expect yourself to show up as an Olympian, mom, wife, business owner without taking care of yourself? An Olympian doesn't do that. And we
No,
don't judge them, right? Like, we don't judge them for that. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's like you're the asset. Your worth is inherent. It's not tied to what you're doing and what
Yes.
you're using. And so, like, even if I'm just resting all day, then it's where I'm worthy and I'm taking care of myself because I know that I have a busy week and I'm the asset. I have to come into it rested with a clear mind and not running off fumes and caffeine and a foggy brain. So, the fact that you can push through and operate
Mm-hmm.
at 20 or 30% because you're so tired and so busy.
Yeah.
Um, just think about how much better you can perform if you actually rested first and came in at your 100% self. And that's why I always try to tell women, like, I'll rest after. And I'm like, but if you rested before, you would go into it more focused and energized. And so you'd probably complete the task more efficiently because you're already rested versus doing it at 20%. It's going to
Yeah.
take longer. We know, when you're foggy, you're kind of just half had, just doing
Yeah.
it. You're just
Yep.
doing it. But it definitely, like I said, it's definitely a mindset and identity shift. And I think that, we're getting there as a
Mm-hmm.
whole,
Yeah.
collectively as women. Like, we don't have to compete or do the same thing that the men are doing. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's kind of where it started. Like, well, if he's doing it, I'm going to do it. And I'm like, well, I don't care if he's doing it.
I know, right?
I don't care anymore, like, and then when you
Yeah.
think about it, like it's kind of this false mindset. Like I know for me, when I took we talked about going to the bathroom.
Yeah.
So I was telling a coworker, and she was like, "Oh, so and so, Dr. So and so always takes breaks. He just stops the room and takes breaks whenever he needs a break." And so I'm like, "Why am I
Mm-hmm.
like bopping
Killing
along, not
yourself.
taking a break?" And he's clearly just like, "I need to eat. I have to go to the bathroom."
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like sometimes I feel like, "Oh, put a blinder on and focus on yourself." So, like sometimes you have to raise the blinder and realize that you're just being overly hard on yourself because everyone
Yeah.
else is taking breaks and slowing down. And so that actually was really eye-opening to me because I just assumed everybody was doing what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, no, he always stops. He eats lunch, he goes to the bathroom, he takes his time. And I'm over here just frantic and, ran down. And I was like, okay, great, good to know, you know?
Yeah, 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 yeah. And I think women have multiple tabs open at one time. I feel like men just open one and close one.
Mhm.
Like they're just can be so one track mind where we're thinking about all the things all at the same time. And it just creates that hustle pressure feeling and that performance. I got to perform to prove. I think a lot of women just, and
Yeah.
I've been in that loop. I've been in that performance loop. I've been in that. I got to prove my worth. I got to prove that I can be successful. I got to prove this and prove that. And all I proved is that I can burn out.
Me
Right.
too. That's exactly where I ended up. I'm like, yeah, I can say yes. I can be a team player. I can do it. Burnt
Yeah.
out, all the way
Yeah.
burnt out. So
Yeah.
that is just something, I mean, you have to learn the hard way, I guess. But we hope that we can prevent some other people from learning this hard way if they're
Yeah.
listening. I'm
Yeah.
like, don't learn this hard way. It's not great. It's not great.
No,
But
no,
just know
that's
you
my
can get out of
hope.
it.
Right. That's my hope is by sharing my story and having women like you come on and share your story that they'll notice the signs because I think most people attribute burnout, which is why I always ask that question. They attribute burnout to just complete exhaustion. And that is one of them. But like if you're having irrational thoughts or if you're, like saying I always or I'll never, like those are signs, early signs of burnout. If you are, like having extreme responses to everyday little things, like you said, like getting mad at yourself for like the littlest things or getting mad at your children for the littlest things, like those are all the precursors, the signs of things that like the burnout's coming, right? The big blow up where you actually might end up in the hospital because your body just completely shuts down. And so I think the more we talk about it, hopefully the more they'll recognize some of those signs and
Yes.
stop it sooner. Because I mean, quite frankly, I think we all can be a victim of burnout, right? It's not that it you never experience it again, but I find because I'm so familiar with it now, I catch it sooner and
Yes.
I don't go into the full blown, burnout. Like I know, oh, this is why I'm feeling this way. Let me check in. right? A
Yeah.
lot of us check out when we start feeling bad, but how can we check in and just get really curious and investigative of, okay, what's happening here? How's my energy level? How are my thoughts? What am I thinking right now that's creating some of this? What are my yeses and my nos? So just spending that time. But so I don't want anyone to think like, Nikia and I have it figured out. We never have burnout again. It's just we know how to catch it sooner, I feel like, and we know how to get the support we need, which we don't talk a lot about either as women. Like, get the support you need, talk to someone about it, and you'll see like you're not the only one. That's another lie that comes up in the burnout. You're the only one going through this. What's wrong with you? You're broken, right?
Everybody else is, they're all working fine. It just must be like, no, everybody's still struggling.
Quick pause. If you've been listening and you're ready to stop performing your life and start leading it, if you know you're ready to feel better now, not later, and you're ready for support that actually creates sustainable transformation, I have private one-on-one coaching spots open. And inside this coaching, in Illuminate You coaching, we don't guess. We use your unique personality blueprint built from the science-backed personality and performance tool called the ProScan, the one you've heard me talk about here in the podcast. This is used so that every decision, every boundary, every shift is designed specifically around your wiring, not someone else's. This is my aligned success method. It's not hacks. It's not try harder. It's not mindset glitter. It's a real solution. It's rooted in science, strategy, and your unique design. So you can lead your life as the woman you actually are, not the woman others expect you to be. Now is the time. Take the step. Book your clarity call at martinewilliams.com/clarity. All right, back to the episode.
And that's exactly what happened my second time. My second time, I burnt out. I wouldn't say I burnt out completely, but I noticed it really earlier because I was like, oh, I'm starting to get really irritable and these small things are bothering me. Like, what's going on? And that's when I realized, like, okay, this work environment is no longer conducive to me. And
Mm-hmm.
I got out. Well, I didn't get out, but I was more assertive. Like, I need my schedule to change in this way, or I need to do this in this way. Are you guys amenable to that? And they were like, no. And I said, okay. And then I went about and found myself a different schedule. Like,
Yeah,
once you know what you need, it's easier to ask for it and look for it. And I think that was the first part. Like my first burnout, I didn't know what I needed. I was like, I need a new job, I need to move. But that wasn't a very clear direction. It was just an
right.
escape, right? I need to escape this somehow. But now it's like I feel that my energy is being drained in this way. I feel like I need more time to this. So as I was more clear in the second round, I was able to spot it earlier, like spot myself going into it earlier and exit sooner. So I didn't have to really recover because I didn't let myself get there. And that's the point. Like, you're
Yeah,
not going to always prevent it from well, you could prevent it if you notice it. So just the more you hear about it, the more you kind of see these different signs. You're like, oh, maybe I am going to get into burnout if I keep this schedule on for like 3 months or 6 months or a year. Like, how will I feel? Then that's a good time to be like, okay, if I continued at this rate for 6 months, I'm going to feel exhausted. That's a
mm,
good first sign. Like, how do you feel today? And how do you feel like this day continuing on? And I was like, this is not going to work for me for another year. I have to
yeah,
be out of this position or this schedule or this for in the next year. And I also wanted to point out, like, for a lot of your listeners who are moms, I'm not a mother.
hmm,
I'm a proud dog mom, but I like to give mothers permission. I'm like,
yeah,
listen, I don't have kids and I don't clean my house. I don't go grocery shopping because I find those tasks to be too heavy. Like, it's
yeah,
too much for me to manage. So I'm like, I can't do it without kids. So I want to tell you that, like,
yeah.
you have extra stuff going on. Like, don't do it if you don't want to. Like, if you like it, then do it. If not, order the groceries, get a housekeeper, save yourself 2 hours
Yeah.
and rest. So I like to just always give that permission because I'm just like, I don't know how y'all do it.
We
But
don't do it all, like
yeah,
you do it all, Martine. I'm like, I mean, my answer is simple. I don't, I do I order my groceries online. I've been doing that since way before COVID, like before it was
Mhm.
even really a thing. Instacart wasn't even a thing, but I'm like, I don't like grocery shopping. And I just know that it's not something I have to do. Someone else could do it.
Put it in my trunk.
Right, right. And I'd pull up to the grocery store and they'd bring out a balloon for my kids and a cookie. I'm like, this is the best thing ever that I don't
Yes.
have to go in there. But some of you, I know you enjoy grocery shopping, not me. So like, I want to spend time doing something else, and a housekeeper was the second thing that I hired. So I do think like when you slow down, when you check in, when you're feeling that hustle kind of coming up and you're chasing all the balls and the ball just goes faster, just FYI. It doesn't slow down. The ball just goes faster and faster and then you have to run, run, run. So when I feel that coming up in me, I don't know if you feel this way, that's when I'm like, oh, I gotta stop.
Hmm.
I can't chase the ball. I gotta stop and figure out, is that the ball that I actually want to be chasing? Is that
Yeah.
really what I want to be doing? And so, like, when you feel that coming up, slowing down and just kind of checking in with yourself and say, okay, what is on my plate right now? Even good things, a plate full of vegetables and fruits, and it can get heavy. So
Yeah.
it's not, it's just what's on your plate right now and what can you take off to create some more space to take care of your body. You mentioned that earlier. And I know you said your schedule is a big thing you protect now, but is there anything else that you do like for your physical body and your mind that helps you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, as you pointed out, I have a support system. So, I read the book, I did the podcast, I got a therapist, I have a coach because I just needed some, positive reinforcement, some non-close people just giving me their feedback. And that actually gave me the courage to start sharing it more with more personal friends and even on social.
Yep.
It wasn't like I just went out and been like, I was burnt out and I'm over it. Talked with the therapist, I talked with the coach, I talked with my close friends, realized we're all in the same boat. And those processes got me to this point where I'm just like, well, if we're all in the same boat, more people probably want to hear about it and know that they're not alone. And since my superpower, I feel like it's just like I don't mind sharing. I'm like, I don't care. I'm open book. I'll
Yeah.
go on there and tell people like, yeah, I burnt out. I was unhappy and I
Hmm.
didn't want to share it because I was ashamed because I'm like, they're like, you're a doctor. Why are you unhappy?
Yeah.
All of these reasons. And then I started doing Pilates, and I am actually currently becoming a Pilates trainer. I'm in Pilates teacher training right now because I just loved it so much, and I'm such a nerd. I have to like know everything. But I literally started Pilates because I was like, I'm too tired to stand up to work out. So I have to lay down. Like that was it. I'm like, what exercise can I do laying down? And they're
Yeah.
like, you can lay on this reformer and you just move your legs, but your back is flat. And I'm like, perfect.
Yeah.
After working a full day, I can get through this. Like I can't do CrossFit. I can't be dancing around. I was just too tired. So I was like, what is the least thing? And I didn't even want to walk. Like I didn't even want to walk for 10 minutes. So
Mhm.
I started with Pilates, laying on my back, doing reformer. I started incorporating more walking, and now it's progressed to this. But of course, this has been a 4 to 5 year journey. So like I
Yeah.
always say, it's not everything, but like if you feel like you have to move your body, what is the least thing you can do?
Yeah.
Or the most fun thing you can do? Like maybe you like to play tennis or you like to dance. It doesn't have to be CrossFit or the gym.
Yeah.
It can just be as simple as dancing around your house or going for a 5 minute walk. But I had to start incorporating movement because that's what you like, as you said before, it's like I identify as like I want to be a healthy person, but
Mhm.
I'm not actually taking actions in that way. So I have to prioritize my sleep, I have to drink water, and I have to move my body. And I'm
Yep.
not doing any of those things. And so I'm like, I can't say I'm a healthy person. And
Mm.
so I have to make those a priority. And that became my priority for a period of time. And
Yeah.
like it's just a lot. Like I said, that's why it takes so long because it's a lot of balls and you're trying to figure
Yeah.
out which one is the important one to be chasing and which ones are unimportant or too heavy for the moment. They might be important
Mm.
overall, but maybe just too heavy at this moment. Like maybe you want to get a promotion, but you realize that this isn't the time. That is
Yeah.
too heavy right now. So it's okay to like, okay, maybe I'll start working on that kind of
Mhm.
energy next year. Maybe this year I'm going to focus on rest and recovery and getting my energy and schedule together. And that way, next year, when I go for this promotion, I already have these habits and this schedule in place, and I can focus my energy on that. And so that's like the all or nothing thing. You don't have to change, be healthy, and get a promotion and be the best mom all at once.
Yeah.
Like,
But we
or
want to
launch a
as
business.
performers, right? As
Right.
performers and
But they're
high
like, I want to
achievers,
be
we're
a
like, let's
mom.
just do it all.
You're right. You're like an entrepreneur, a full-time employee, a mom. I'm in grad
Yeah.
school. I'm like, you girls, you're doing everything. So maybe
Yeah.
it's just, a little bit of seasons. For me, it ended up being like deprioritizing my 9 to 5 as a doctor. I mean, I still work, but like
Yeah.
deprioritizing that, which means not taking extra shifts or overtime and prioritizing my well-being. And then as that got better, then I was like, okay, I'm going to keep my 9 to 5 deprioritized. And I'm going to start this business where I'm coaching and helping because
Mhm.
that's my priority now. It's like I've gotten this healthy habit of working out locked in. Now I know that it's a priority and I schedule that. And now I'm going to build this time in because I feel like my mission and my legacy is not being a doctor, but it's being like, a healer to women, like healing,
Yeah.
helping recover from burnout. And, the medicine was just part of the journey.
Hmm. Yeah. I love that. And like for all of you that are listening, like there's going to be resistance to this change. So even though you're feeling as bad as you feel, your brain will always go back to what's familiar. And so
Mhm.
it's going to tell you don't have time. You don't have time to work out. You don't have time to rest. You don't have time to think about your burnout. You don't have time for whatever it is. It's going to tell you that because it doesn't want you to create change. But that's where you have to like redirect it like you would a toddler.
Yeah.
You have to direct your brain all the time back to the most powerful thought, which is I'm worthy and I'm the asset and I'm going to protect the asset. So you will be hit with resistance with this, but it's okay. That's just everybody's brain does it. You're not unique. You're not a unicorn. Nikia's had it. I've had it. It's just understanding that you are the asset and being willing to fight for her. That's what I feel like. I feel like I fight for women every single day who can't fight for themselves or don't have the belief in themselves. Like that's what you're doing. That's what I'm doing. And we hope that you found some encouragement today by both of us kind of sharing a little bit about our stories. So if you could leave them with one kind of final thought, what would you want to encourage them with this topic that we've been talking about?
Yes. And so as you said before, I'm just going to reiterate it because it's
Yeah.
something that I deeply believe in. When you're feeling overwhelmed, exhausted, burnt out, like the natural instinct is to kind of retract,
Mm,
withdraw, like I need to rest, I need alone time. And while that may be a little bit true,
mm,
it's more about engagement.
yeah.
It's not about resting and silencing, it's about tapping in with yourself. So engage with yourself, engage with friends, coach, therapist, whoever you need for support, because this is not a solo journey. It starts off like that. You start off rested and by yourself, but it requires support, which is why we're out here sharing our story and out here offering our support. So just like you said, tap in what's important to you and kind of as you rest and recover and figure that out, start sharing it so that your friends can help support you and kind of keep you even accountable to yourself because
Yeah.
you're going to talk yourself out of more than anybody else ever would, you know?
Yeah, that's the truth.
You're like, I'm gonna so like I need my friend's like, oh, did you just say yes to that shift? I'm like, oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I did tell you that I wasn't supposed to be saying yes. And she's like, like, a little
Yeah.
bit of accountability helps because
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because the chaos is familiar.
yeah.
Making a change is uncomfortable. So that's why I kind of wanted to add that in there at the end. Well, tell everyone where they can connect with you.
Okay. So I'm on socials at She is Fire Forged and at Nikia Smith MD. And I love emails because I'm an email girl. So you can email me, Nikia at sheisfireforged.com. I love sharing stories and just connecting. Like that's like I'm just like, oh, tell me about your life. So
Yeah.
if you could vent or chat or get to know me better or you wanted to share your story with me, I would love to hear it.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on. We could have talked probably for another hour. We have
I'm
lots in common and we're both very conversational. We're both an open book. So
yes.
thank you
I
so much
really
for coming on and sharing your story. I know so many women will benefit from it.
thank you for having me.
You're welcome. All right, friends. Well, I'll catch you on our next episode. Well, that's a wrap, friends. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. I really hope it met you right where you are and gave you some encouragement for your day. Could you do me the biggest favor and leave me a rating and review? Seriously, it's the best way for you to support the show. And while you're there, be sure to follow the show so you never miss an episode. Thanks again. And until next time, I am believing in you always.